Hello, G.I. Joe fans, and welcome back to Too Many Topics, and also welcome back to my series Classified Report. Although, I guess kind of welcome to my series Classified Report. So, if you're familiar with my main channel, Togu Topics, I have my series Lightning Storm, where I cover the latest Lightning Collection news that happened in the past week. And while I'm not going to do that here for G.I. Joe Classified, because honestly, there's usually not enough news to cover an entire week's worth of stuff, because this line has news relatively sparingly. But when it does have a lot of news, especially things like this month during Yojo June, there's a lot to talk about here. So I kind of just wanted these videos to sort of be also not as urgent as Lightning Storm, where I'm trying to make it like right when the news is fresh, but kind of just, do a video every once in a while when there's a lot to talk about and kind of share my thoughts. Now this is being labeled as episode 2 because the first kind of formal episode of Classified Report was actually over on Toku Topics as an April Fool's joke hosted by my roommate Keyshawn. So I'm going to keep the numbering scheme with that. So there is no episode 1 on this channel. I know it's kind of confusing, but I don't know. Here it is. We'll see how this goes. Welcome to Classified Report. So, of course, Yojo June is something that's happening right now, this entirety of the month here. I think it's been really, really successful. And everything with G.I. Joe, I'm always approaching from kind of the perspective of, I know nothing about this brand, and that is still 100% true. But I always compare what the G.I. Joe team is doing to what other Hasbro teams are doing. And with Power Rangers being the thing that I'm the most interested and the most invested and most knowledgeable about the franchise and how Hasbro handles things, I think Yojo June has been really interesting to watch here. So the month kicked off with 2 render reveals, and I really like when Hasbro's team does this. I think the G.I. Joe team has a perfect reveal system of, you get a stream where they name drop characters, and then they show off renders, and then they launch pre-orders. And then the next stream, whatever they announced a character name of, they show you a render. And whatever they showed you a render of last time, they launch a pre-order. And then the next stream, whatever they showed a pre-order of, they just keep, it's a constant good, stream of like 3 little announcements, name, render, pre-order. It works fantastically. But the only renders that they've shown off so far this month are for the Crimson Viper and for Grunt. Now, Grunt is the reason why I have his picture smaller here is because we're going to talk about him later, because he's already moved over to the pre-order stage as of today, actually. So at least at the time that I'm making this video, today is June 21st, the day that I'm making it. You're seeing this probably on the 22nd. But they showed off the Crimson Viper as a render here, as I'm assuming the final figure of this group of 5. I really like this a lot. Now, I know people always kind of complain about the vast amounts of repaints that this line does. And I totally get it. I mean, think of the Bat, think of the Viper. They've repainted those 2 things 1,000 times. But when you paint them in red like this, I really, really like it. So I think the Crimson Viper here looks really slick. This will be the 6th color variation of the Viper in the line after the free pack. And there's also Cobra Island, which was the original Viper that they released. And also Python Patrol. I think before this one, Python Patrol's color scheme is my favorite one. And I have all 5 of those Vipers, but I'm definitely going to be pre-ordering this one because I just really like the red color scheme here. And it will go very nicely with the rumored 3-pack of the Crimson Baroness and Twins that we are hearing is probably our PulseCon exclusive this year. So I'm sure that it's kind of a tie-in figure for that. So I think that that's really, really slick. And I don't pre-order everything for G.I. Joe. I'm full-on completionist of this line, at least in intention, but I don't pre-order everything just because I have so many other things to pre-order. So I very pick and choose what I pre-order for this line, but Crimson Viper is definitely going to be one that I pre-order whenever this does to go up. And then Hasbro also launched their pre-orders starting for the first week with 3 figures that were, or 4 figures actually, that were really not that exciting. But here's the thing. This is just another testament to how great I think the Hasbro G.I. Joe team is, because all the figures that they revealed at the very beginning of the month, and I don't know if this was their intention or not, were the figures that had already released internationally or had leaked a crazy amount. So by getting those out of the way, you get out of the way the figures that everybody's like, yeah, that's really, really old news. We've seen it. And starting with that was the Python Patrol Crimson Guard, which was something that was leaked and released internationally months ago, but people were just waiting for this to be officially revealed as a Target exclusive, which of course it did. This is probably not my favorite of the reveals at the very beginning, but I really like the color scheme of this one. This is definitely one that I've been tempted to pre-order. If there's any of that, I mean, I already pre-ordered one from this first batch, but if there's any other ones from that first batch I was tempted to pre-order, because I basically kind of pre-ordered 1 figure per pre-order batch so far this month, and we'll get to the one that I did pre-order in a second. But yeah, this one's pretty good. I really do like the Python Patrol Crimson Guard. Target has it listed as a release date of sometime in early July. Which makes sense because, like I said, it's been out internationally for a while, and I think it's a cool addition that I am looking forward to getting one. And in the same situation, we have Tiger Force Dusty here. One I believe was released in Brazil, I want to say it was. Only about a month or so ago. It was like a month after the Crimson Python Patrol Guard, and now we have this one here. And I don't even have the original Dusty yet. That's one of the few figures that I'm missing from the line. But I like this one better. I just like the camo look that he's got going on here, and I just overall kind of like this color scheme better than the regular Dusty. So it's also kind of interesting that it's so soon after the original Dusty, because we only got that original one like late-ish last year, so it's not been that long since we've already had the first one. But they've been doing that a lot recently with like Outback and with Bazooka, where we had their Tiger Force versions. We actually got them in Tiger Force first, and then we got the regular versions very soon after, and Dusty's just kind of a reverse of that. So Dusty's probably my least favorite, or definitely is my least favorite of the four that they launched at the very beginning of the month, but it's still cool nonetheless, and since it's Tiger Force, it is a Target exclusive. And then I just realized that I forgot to make a slide for it, which is kind of funny because this is my favorite one, but the Arctic Bat looks so good. So good. This is my favorite of the first four reveals by far. This was another one that had leaked about a month or so ago. It released overseas, so we've already had a lot of pictures of it. In fact, Hasbro teased it a while ago when they put up Snow Job back in March. There was some Arctic Bats teased in the background there, kind of blurred out, which is a really, really cool little thing that they've been doing. And they did it again later on this month so far. So that's really fun. But that is already kind of already about to release, because Hasbro Pulse pushed up the release date of that from September to July 3rd alongside like the next wave. So that's going to be coming out very, very soon. That is what Emily likes to call a Famazon exclusive, where it's a fan channel release, but it's also available on Amazon. It's probably my favorite color variation of the Bat so far, which is one of my favorite figures that the line has done. So I cannot wait to get this one. This was the one that I pre-ordered from the first batch of pre-orders, and I am super excited to get it. And in the final reveal of that first week, which was the only thing that hadn't leaked internationally or hadn't been released internationally yet, was this, the Televiper with the Cobra flight pod, or Televiper with the Cobra. Yeah, there we go. I said it great. The Trouble Level. It's here. It's really, really cool. It's Hasbro Pulse exclusive, which is interesting because, you know, this is very similar to the, I don't remember what it was called, but the thing we got recently with like the missile launcher and everything, that was not Pulse exclusive. That was actually mass retail, but it's the same price point SKU as that, or at least price point like assortment as that. So this is our third Pulse exclusive in a very short period of time, because Snow Job and the Cobra Valkyries were Pulse exclusives, so we're getting a lot of Pulse exclusives here. But this looks really, really cool. It's fun to get a little like mini vehicle. I know that there's a listing out there for a Python Patrol version of this thing, so I'm sure Target's about to get basically a repaint of this set somewhat soon. So that's going to be interesting, because it's going to be a lot of money. It's very pricey already for this, which I mean, I get it, but it's going to be very pricey to have to get two of them, although I know a lot of people are pre-ordering two of this one as it is anyway, so there's that. But I think it looks cool. I like the different head swaps there, so you can kind of have some different flight guards and different pilots and stuff like that if you buy multiples of these. This was our last thing that we had as just a render back when they revealed some renders back in January. So while this isn't technically a pre-order, I guess, I had to, of course, bring up the fact that the Dragonfly is still going. At the time of this video, it's at just a little under 14,000 backers. We'll see where it is by like next week and stuff like that. People are panicking. Some people are panicking that they're not going to hit the full backer amount to hit all four unlocked figures, which you need 19,000 for. I get it, because you only have like a little under a month to back it all, but due to the fact that we're only about 5,000 away from unlocking everything, and we still haven't factored in the big spike in orders that these HasLabs always get, I'm not worried about unlocking everything here. But since we did unlock the figure the low light figure at 13,000, we got the next one. Well, we haven't yet, but we got the reveal of the next unlock. We just haven't unlocked it yet, and that is Jane Glenda Mulligan, our helicopter pilot, which is a character that everybody's been kind of joking about because they revealed it and everybody went, who? For me, being somebody that knows like next to nothing about this line at all, or about this toy line, or about this brand, every character is the who for me. So like to me, this was just another character, and people are complaining because it's not General Hawk, it's not Airborne. And I'm like, we're probably going to get at least one of, not both of those, because I'm not saying that we know this for sure, but like there was this leak from December that claimed to be a leak for the Dragonfly that said it was going to come with Wild Bill and Airborne. And like, I feel like Airborne is probably our 19,000 backer thing, but regardless, Glenda is our 16,000 backer one. We haven't hit it yet. I imagine by the time we have a stream next week, we probably will, or at least, well, honestly, probably not, because we've only had like 1,000 backers in the last week or so. So I would hope so, because I really want them to reveal the final tier, and maybe they just will reveal it during the live stream anyway. They kind of try to drum up some more support. But for the people that are freaking out about this not even unlocking and 19,000 not unlocking, it's gonna happen. Like, it's just gonna. So I have back mine. I was backer, like, what was it, like 12,652 or something like that. So I did back this already. I'm very excited to get it, and yeah. And that brings us into the next week of pre-orders, which was last week's. This one, I think, was probably the most exciting one so far. I think it was probably, honestly, more exciting than the most recent one we just had, yesterday's. So we start here with this Desert Command version of Snake Eyes. I really dig this thing a lot, actually. There's nothing new about this at all. Every single accessory here is a repaint of a previous release. The figure body mold, I believe, is nothing new. The head is a paint of the second Timber set from that whole line. So, like, there's nothing new here other than the color scheme. But the color scheme is really working for me. I don't know, like, after like getting like 5 different like black and gray versions of Snake Eyes in the line, getting this really cool kind of desert sand looking one, I really dig it. So this was not the pre-order that I ended up picking for last week's stuff. Not that I can't pre-order one thing a week, but I just kind of trying to limit myself to that, because I mean, I'll get it all eventually, but not right away. I really do like how this one turned out. And this is another Amazon exclusive, so it's a fan channel, but Amazon does have it. And by the way, I should have mentioned, any Amazon affiliate or any Amazon pre-order, there'll be an affiliate link for it in the description below to pre-order it. So if you use those links, it will help out the channel, and I get a small commission from that. So if anybody's interested in pre-ordering this stuff, most of it is still available. A lot of the Troop Builder stuff is not, because that's just kind of how this goes, including the next thing we're going to talk about. So, like, a lot of it's still there, though. If you want to use those links, it does help out, and it's always appreciated. And this was the one that sold out. So this is our Amazon exclusive, our next Amazon exclusive, the Cobra Eel. I like this one a lot too. So this one goes really, really nicely with our, Torpedo that just released, or is about to release, whatever you want to call it. In fact, the box art's very similar. It's on the same kind of like submarine and everything like that. So this is an army builder, of course. Hasbro Pulse sold out with this very quickly. Amazon sold out with this pretty quickly. I'm sure Amazon is going to get more of them, but this was the one. So when it comes to pre-ordering stuff for G.I. Joe, I pre-order it if it is one of the following criteria: a HasLab, a convention exclusive, a store exclusive that I think will sell out very quickly, or I just really, really like it. And it kind of has to follow those patterns. Like, it has to be like that's the tier list. Like, if it's a HasLab, that takes top priority over that stuff, over whatever. And since this was an Amazon exclusive, which I know in the past has kind of been very 50-50, like Arctic Storm Shadow, or what was the other one that went really expensive? Maybe it's just Arctic Storm Shadow. Like, sometimes Amazon exclusives go super expensive, and sometimes they kind of stick around for a while. And since this was an army builder, I just didn't want to take my chances with it. So I pre-ordered one on Amazon just to be safe. I did get a pre-order in. I'm not army building stuff for this line. I just get one of every figure, even if it's an army builder or not. So I got one of these. And then the next mainline like wave reveal, which was one we already had a name for and stuff in the past, was Tunnel Rat. I think we also had a render of him. I could be wrong about that in the past, but we have Tunnel Rat here. It's a character. I don't know like much of anything about this. The main waves don't really interest me all that much. It really takes a lot to kind of get me interested in characters from main waves. I really interested, a majority of which, in the exclusives and the different kind of repaints and stuff like that. But this still looks cool. I really like his goggles. I see why he's called Tunnel Rats in this picture I have on the right here, where he's kind of like, you kind of get that kind of rat-looking face. This was the one where they showed off another hint figure. So in the background of some of the promo shots, there are some zombie vipers, I think is what they're called back there, which was a leaked listing for the night. I think it was for the Night Force Walmart exclusive line. So we are going to be getting those. So just like how they teased the Arctic Bat before, they teased this, which I think is really fun. And then, of course, that brings us to the most recent round of pre-orders, the ones from yesterday. And I think we have 2 main wave ones? All of the stuff from yesterday was main retail stuff, but one of them is not from a wave, not from like the next wave. So we have Low Light here. I really like Low Light. Low Light probably would have been my pre-order of the week if it wasn't for something we're going to get to. Because I really like that accessory, that, the rifle case that he's had. That's awesome. Like, the second I saw this in a render a couple months ago, I think like in March is when they showed the render off of this, I was like, that's a really nice looking accessory. I really do dig this thing. So he looks great. He looks absolutely great. But besides that, he's just kind of a run-of-the-mill figure. But like I said, he's definitely my favorite of the wave that we've seen so far. Although I think the Crimson Viper is supposed to be the 5th member of that wave, so that will win in the end if we see that next week. But I really do like Low Light here so far, and I think it's another great addition to the line. And then Grunt here was a very quick turnaround from render to final product or final pre-order. So this is one of the ones that they showed off a render of back at the beginning of the month with the Crimson Viper. and now we have pre-orders for it already. So he is sort of an army builder figure. He comes with a Steel Corps helmet, which they did talk about is different than the Steel Corps 2-pack, which is actually the last thing that they showed a render of back in like January that they haven't put up for pre-order yet. At least I'm pretty sure. So maybe that will be a pre-order next week or something like that. But besides that, he looks like a pretty generic dude. And that's kind of, I guess, the point. His name is just Grunt. He's also kind of an army builder. So he's supposed to kind of just be generic dude, the figure, I guess, for G.I. Joe, kind of. So I think he serves that purpose perfectly good. And the final thing is the deluxe price pointed Snow Serpents. Wow. So these are retail, actually. These are not exclusive anywhere. This is the pre-order that's been selling out. This is the one. This is already sold out on Hasbro Pulse. It is still available on Amazon, at least the last time I checked. That's where I pre-ordered mine. This was my pre-order of the week for a lot of reasons. First of all, you get so many things in this thing. And second of all, I have a big bias towards the Arctic stuff. I think the Arctic stuff looks really, really, really cool. That's why I pre-ordered the Arctic Bat. I finally was able to track down an Arctic Mission Storm Shadow a couple months ago. Snow Job looks great. So more Arctic stuff, I will buy it. Or I would definitely be a lot more prone to pre-ordering it. But like, look at this. You get this full like fur suit, which rest in peace to Timber, I guess. You get like a snowboard. You get all these guns. Like you get the snowshoes. Like, I love this a lot. It's a great looking army builder, and you can kind of have different looks because of that, because of the snowboard, because of the fur. It looks fantastic. I'm already gonna have this with. I mean, Cobra is definitely winning on the Arctic side so far because we have this and a Bat and Storm Shadow versus Snow Job. So we really need to get some Arctic Joes over here. But Snow Serpent looks fantastic, so I cannot wait to get this figure. And that was the final pre-order of so far the month that we have thus far. And with all of that, that brings this episode of Classified Report to a close. So I kind of just wanted to do this little recap video here. I also barely posted on too many topics, so I figured might as well sort of recap the first 3 weeks of Yojo June so far and kind of share my thoughts. Let me know what you think of this series and also of this sort of stream of consciousness type of video content, because I'm kind of going to use the second channel as kind of a means to test certain things. And I have other G.I. Joe content planned on the channel, so be sure to stay tuned for that. But I've actually started using my G.I. Joe account on Twitter. That's my equivalent of my Lightning Collection one, which is Classified Fig GI, so be sure to follow that on Twitter. And of course, you can follow my main Twitter at Living Ranger Key. And that's that. So that's it for this episode of Classified Report. And until next time, Yo Joe.